I believe we're back. I hope we're back. There we go. Oh well. I'm resetting everything. Give me a sec. Yeah, I'll explain to you guys what happened. Oops. I'll do a Discord ping too. Alright. Yeah, my dad happened. That's a pretty good way to put it. Alright. So, what happened was my dad decided to just unplug the internet. Jesus Christ. He decided to unplug the internet because it was going slow for him. And decided to not tell anybody, to warn them beforehand. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah. So he disconnected the internet, to which both myself and my, not Word, but Stroby, hey Cassie, how's it going? Both walked out and was like, what did he do? He was like, oh, I was just resetting the internet. And I was just like, I'm streaming. Stroby had a excuse or something. But, yeah. I was like, I was streaming. Why would you do that? Is Katone-kun still here? I think, hold on. Yeah. I know Queen Cheese wants to be here too, so I'm just trying to let them know that the stream's back up. Because I know Katone is not on the Discord. Oh, there you go. There's Katone. Cool. Stream is resurrected. True. Let me message Queen Cheese real quick. Hey, Punny, how's it going? No worries, Punny. It's because there's just a lot. Though that means my stream later tonight is probably not going to be good. Did something happen to the stream? Yeah. So you guys should be seeing a new thumbnail that says 13.5. So when I was doing the first stream, my dad cut the internet because it was running slow for him. Didn't warn anybody beforehand. So I had to, like, he just reset it. So it took like an extra 5 minutes. But I didn't proceed any further. There you go. There's Queen Cheese. I didn't proceed any further. Nothing like that happened. So we're just right back to this point. Predict, yeah, exactly, Katone, exactly. Hard to predict what's going on in this game. So, anyway, I'm going to choose the bad decision first, and then we'll choose the good one. So that way we can go through all the decisions. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I can't make that decision, sir. See, if you warned me beforehand, I would have just stopped and been like, hold on, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Stream's going to go offline. He'll come back. But, yeah. Kano knew he was in no state to make a good call on something this serious. The sad truth was that all he could think about was Sasagawa to Tenno. I see. Sorry to ask you such an awkward question. Not at all, sir. Kano dropped his eyes to the blood-splattered gift box again, and Kuze headed back toward the conference room. Alright. So now let's release his name so that way Minorikawa can be happy. I think releasing the name should be alright. There was still a lot they didn't know about Tanaka. The fact that the final stop for the ransom relay was Tanaka's condo implied some sort of connection between him and the kidnappers, but they still had no idea what his role in the abduction might have been. They also didn't have any motive for why Tanaka would be helping the kidnappers in the first place. By sharing some of what they did know with the public, they might be able to garner some new leads. You release the name? Alright then. Without another word, Kuze headed back toward the conference room. No worries, Sparky. I don't know if Wizboo Bacon Bot's working, by the way. Possible he's not. It's possible. Also, is this still the same start? It is the same start. Hold on. Let's We're just gonna skip through this because we've already seen this on the previous stream. So, waifu. Minorikawa yelling, pointing his finger. This part twice, true. Here's the thing though, this stream, yeah, where's the spill here? Sweet. Like this stream, since it's just back to back, like that's why I don't read it. But if it's been a long gap, I'll still reread what we've already read. So, yeah. There's no background music too. It's just so quiet. It's weird that there's nothing. It's so weird that there's no music here. Like you'd feel like there should be. But it's just a serious mood, so. There's the clapping. You'd think that there was like a smaller part, but apparently not. The Peanut Gallery. Wait, that guy? True. You got the papers. I'm gonna be curious what happens now that it's stated that Minorikawa is good, or that Toyama's alive. I guess so. That makes sense. Also, good old Chiaki. Chiaki has some really sharp incisors. Oh my goodness. I like the rose in her hair. It's nice. Look at that watch, too. That's an interesting watch. And she has a ring on her finger. He signs his name. But then Chiaki eats the paper. Steps to Yakuza. True, Katone. Very, very true. She started off super scared. Now she's just standoff to Yakuza buffs. Alright, here we go. My heart's pounding. My heart is pounding right now. I'm so scared. Let's see what happens. It's time for the television set soon. Hit the max volume. We have just learned the identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical executive. Shibuya resident? Minorikawa tilted his head in confusion. Tama didn't live in Shibuya. Once again, the victim of the explosion was Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. The site of the incident remains an alarming scene, with relief workers continuing to tend to the wounded. The four people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh? Who's Tanaka? Like how all of them are like, wait, where's Toyama? To be continued? What? She has a Kia's earring, true. Also, what the hell is going on here? Maybe let's choose some other choices, I guess. See what happens. More the big sister, whatever stupid things with their friends. Yeah. I decided to take what was her name? I asked curious to know more. Let's just ask for her name. Welcome back, Sparky. What was her name? I asked curious to know more. Kotone. Hold on! Kotone! Kotone-kun, is this your alter ego? Hold on, is this Kotone-kun's alter ego? I don't know. We dated when we were in high school. Oh wow, but I get the impression from that picture that the other boy must have liked Kotone too, right? The gunman's eyes widened. You're very astute. Call it a woman's intuition, I say proudly. Then I ask the obvious follow-up. So what happened to you two? I dumped her. The man carefully slips a notebook into the pocket inside his jacket. How come, I ask? I felt it was for the best. Sock puppet account of Kotone. I gotcha. He lets out a little chuckle, then stands up and brushes the dust off his pants. He looks strangely lonely. Keep out. I'm surprised we haven't seen... There must be one choice where it's inside that shows. Girl here is the same age as us. Decided to stay quiet and keep listening. Decided to stay quiet and keep listening. We both had a thing for her. A bashful little smile crosses his face. When we were in high school, she told me that she liked me too, so the two of us started dating. But I just have to ask, what about the other guy? True, very true. He never said anything. I'm not sure how he felt deep down. Oh, all right. So then is she your wife now? No, we broke up not too long afterward. The man carefully slips a notebook into a pocket inside his jacket. How come? It was nothing in particular, really. Things just didn't work out. He lets out a little chuckle, then stands up and brushes the dust off his pants. He looks strangely lonely. Go to the hospital. Achi couldn't answer that, and he knew it. Please go to the hospital. I'm asking you to, and I'm definitely someone in trouble. This doesn't count as breaking promise, right? I appreciate that, Achi said softly. So yeah, how about we drop by the hospital for a bit? The emotions Achi had been trying to hide now came welling to the surface. Well, we'll go see Suzune, and after that, we can go look for your sister. Would that be okay with you? That would be more than okay with me. And at long last, Hitomi smiled at him. Back in sync with each other, Achi and Hitomi headed to the hospital. Okay, so this is new. And then probably no longer new. Yeah. Phone call from Tateno. Wait, why is this different? True. Hold on. So we got a phone call from Tateno? We got his call of his own. Didn't we see this already? We appeared at the incoming call as Art nearly stopped. There's Tateno's name. Kano quickly pressed the button. We've already seen this. Why is there new things? Hold on, why is there new things? Right now she's... Oh, because there's right now she's... What? The world came out as a startled guess. Detective Tateno, you have to bring her ASAP. Right now she's... You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Right now she's... That the man from the U.S. Embassy had her in custody. Could have been listening to the most recent wireless traffic. Stanley found. What was Tateno getting at? Before... They added a little bit more dialogue, apparently. Interesting. There's an office building in Nampadai called South Hill. I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop, which we see. I'm trying to think of what else we could... Oh, I know what we can do. I know who we have to follow. I know exactly who we have to follow. Ooh, Kano went to South Hill and Nampadai alone. The building takes its name from a rough translation of Nampadai, the name of an area where it's located. The official name is South Hill Building, but since this is awkward to say, it is frequently shortened. He hadn't brought Hitomi as Tateno had demanded, nor had he reported the situation to Kuze. First, he wanted to meet with Tateno and find out what was going on. He took the elevator to the 8th floor. After that, he had to take the stairs to the rooftop. You know what? I think that deciding to go to the hospital immediately just saved Kano's life. I think just deciding to go to the hospital immediately just saved Kano's life. Somehow. As he made his way up the steps, he tried to imagine what Tateno might want with Hitomi. He hadn't noticed anything suspicious about the senior detective in the lead up to the stakeout at the Scramble. Tateno had seemed like the same man Kano had always revered. So why was he doing this? Kano couldn't think of a reason. Reaching to the top of the staircase, he at last stepped out onto the open roof. The time for half-baked conjecture was past. Kano would lay his doubts on Tateno's feet. Then, soon enough, everything would become clear. Inwardly, Kano did his best to convince himself of that. A warm breeze blew against his cheek. He took a look around, but saw no sign of Tateno. Detective Tateno, where are you? Getting no response, he began to walk around the rooftop, calling out several more times. It's Kano, I've come as you asked. Where's Hitomi Osawa? Kano whirled around where he heard the voice behind him. Uh-oh. Tateno stepped into view from behind a water tank. He led with a young woman bounding blindfolded. Why didn't you bring her? He growled. Kano stared in shock. Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Is this the one that goes all the way back? Yeah, it does. This goes all the way back. I thought it was Minorikawa I had to go see, but apparently not. I hear a faint voice and realize that the man is listening to a wireless radio. I managed to secure Tomio Sawa at Shibuya Central Hospital, the voice says. A gleam comes to the gunman's eyes. He pulls his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. I've secured Maria Osawa, he says to whoever's on the other end. Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa? You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. I mean, true, Katone, very true. Hitomi Osawa. If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now? My voice wavers uncontrollably. What do you mean you'll kill me? Don't look at me like that. He steps in closer to me, his expression dangerous. That killer's edge that he lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. He blindfolds my eyes with some sort of towel. I can't see through it at all. Just then I hear Cannon's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass, tumbling through my mind all out of sequence. Cat's cradle. How are you able to do that when the string is so tangled up? Oh, once you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Cannon how to do a cat's cradle. She reaches out for the string. Huh? She doesn't get a hold of it quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. No, not like that, I say. Hook your index fingers through the front pair of the string. No, I get that. Cannon's getting irritated. But after giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There we go, she says. Look at that! Seeing her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Thank you for teaching me. Oh, it's nothing special. Here, as a thanks, let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. Here's teaching cat's cradle. Here's how to do kung fu. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. Cannon has been training me in some sort of form of self-defense, techniques for protecting oneself when attacked. Rather than defeating the opponent, self-defense training generally prioritizes simply getting oneself away from danger. Some people consider behavioral tenets such as run away when you're attacked or don't go near dangerous places to be forms of self-defense as well. Don't overthink it, she says. People who either try to punch you, kick you, or grab you. If you can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demonstrates some defensive movements as I watch. I follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Okay, let's do this. Cannon throws a punch at me. I dodge, grab her by the wrist, and give her arm a hard twist. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming to her face. Nicely done, she says. I stare down at my own hand. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movements enough, your body will treat them like second nature. I do as she says, trying to repeat the movements over and over. At first it feels like a silly gimmick, but eventually I could feel the motions growing smoother. There you go, people like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. Teaching Maria how to do some moves. Thugs? Now my memory zips further back into the past. What happened in the past? I was wandering the streets trying to get back to my hotel, but I'd gotten lost. By the time I realized I wandered some dodgy back streets, I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. They must have been the thugs looking for tourists to rob. If they had caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. But they hadn't. Cannon had seen to that. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I didn't want there to be a scene here, Cannon says bluntly as she surveys the aftermath of the thug's attack. That's all. I'd happen to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. Dang. Coincidence. Bit by bit, my memories of Cannon are starting to resurface. Just a little more. Just a little, and I'll have myself back. I'm sure of it. Detective Tateno, where are you? There we go. There's Kano. A man's voice suddenly snaps you back into the moment. True, Kitone, very true. It's Kano. I've come as you asked. The gunman grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. Where's Hitomi Osawa? He snarls. Why didn't you bring her? Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? My captor removes my blindfold. Bright light. It's a blimp! Hi, Kano. The first thing I see is a huge blimp drifting slowly overhead. Huh, I'm sure I've seen it before. And pretty recently at that. There's a flash of revelation inside my head. Like a dam bursting, my memories come flooding back to me. Well, that was quick. Got tased into a blue minivan, lost the necklace, there's a blimp in the sky. She hit her head. Last night, I was at a party, a sort of mixer with the exchange students. Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister Otomi, and so I told Otomi that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. I had a plan, to let myself get abducted in Otomi's place. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Whenever I happened to be taken, Kano would be able to track my location. What we hadn't counted on, though, was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. I managed to grab hold of it, but I hit my head when I was being shoved into the car and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall gazing blearily at the car window. Ayakamiki blimp. That was when I saw the blimp, right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There's a man talking to someone on a cell phone. Alright, I'll shut her up inside the storeroom. I'll be waiting in the room upstairs. The man dragged me out of the car and shoved me into some dark storeroom. Then, I guess for good measure, he hit me on the head again. Ugh. How does she not have brain damage? Well, she kinda does. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. She's remembering everything. Now we're back in the Middle East. Alright. You spent your life living in a country of peace in Japan. You couldn't possibly understand me. Interesting. Canon again, so it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. The two of us were too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the line? What would you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? Pretty much. Pretty true, Kitone. Pretty true. A forlorn look came to her face whenever Canon asked me a new question. I never had a good answer for any of them. My flimsy grasp on my own personal identity made it hard for us to get along, yet I kept visiting Canon's place for the duration of my trip. I recall during the cat's cradle there at the table one time when we didn't have anything in particular to talk about. Her eyes had gone wide when she saw my deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Who taught you how to do that? She asked. My mother. My real mother, that is. Canon furrowed her brow. What do you mean, real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see, Canon said. Her expression remained unchanged. What about your parents, Canon? I don't have any. They died during the war. The bluntness of her response made my hand stop, the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were treading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Well, I used to have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear for the worst, and I was right. He was killed, too, by an arms dealer named Alphard. That's a name we know! That's a name we know. Her tone was dry, matter of fact. I like how my window is right above where the dog is. So like every time I hear him bark, I just have to yell and he'll be like, okay, I'm back inside, back inside. Taking revenge from his death is my sole purpose in life. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alphard? A destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. Destructionist? That sure wasn't a term that came up a lot back in Japan. Alphard doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. The chaos and destruction is just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist acts. So you're saying this Alphard commits terrorism because it's fun? Canon nodded. That's why every now and then Alphard changes loyalties. Just when you think you've formed ties to some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, it turns out the job was for the American CIA. So Alphard worked with Jack Stanley. Oh no. What the heck? So Alphard stands for nothing then? Canon smiled dismissively at my little childish outburst. I couldn't help but feel a bit patronized. I twirled my fingers, turning my cat's cradle into a bridge. Canon's eyes fixed right back on the string. A tiny surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She went quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. The tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. My stepmother's the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing, I said at last. For some reason I had a sudden urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. True, Kitone. She's not a bad person, though. She gives me weird bits of advice, like telling me to find someone to date, or that a woman's life is defined by a man. But it's not like I hate her or anything. That's weird, advice. Would you mind teaching me? Kanon asked softly. What? How to find a guy to date? No. She shook her head. Then she pointed to the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. Oh, you mean this? So I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cat's cradle. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. What's that? That friend you mentioned earlier. What was he like? Kanon's fingers went still. It's better if you don't ask. If I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. That's not true. I insisted. Even though I'm a terrorist, she replied curtly, one who uses fear and violence to attain political objectives. The term has its origins in the Reign of Terror in the 18th century French, known as French as La Terreur. It's weird that I'm saying, like, reading this all out loud and my window's open. That's gonna be weird if somebody hears. I swallowed a sudden lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for righteousness, but your people call us terrorists. In the religious sense, the state of being virtuous, free of sin, and observant of the proper rules of moral conduct. Not the same as being in the right, though many people equate the two. Let me just, close window. Probably would be a good idea. See, I'm rocking my pajama bottoms. That's what I wear during the weekend. Am I wrong? She cast a quick look at my face. But I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied. All I did was take down some thugs. I just didn't want them around. What could I say to that? I just stammered. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Huh? Kanon flashed me another slight, condescending grin. I was just joking. Don't worry about it. But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Kanon lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. I could tell that from the cold look in her eyes, a look you never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. Kanon, you troll, true. Just what sort of hardships had she endured to acquire that deadly stare? Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Kanon tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself, fingers continuing to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. She hooked the string around her fingers and spread her palms. But the string shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Confound it. Okay, one more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know. I plucked the strings from Kanon's hands. He passed the string back and forth. Why don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. True. I wrapped the string around my fingertips. What do you say? Want to give it a go? Kanon looked dubious. The intricately intertwined strings were like a world, in a way. What had started as a single thread was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. I held my hands out, twirling the string around my fingers. Kanon took the pattern from me and spread her palms apart. She had a bridge. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. The shy grin that came into her face made her finally look like a normal girl. I followed suit with a childish little laugh of my own. Nice. And as if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that's been hanging over my mind finishes receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister is Hitomi Osawa. And Kanon? She's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once, and now it's my turn to help her. I close my eyes as I reflect upon these precious memories, all the dearer for having been lost. Now when I try to picture Kanon, I can do so clearly. And just as I thought before, my memories are what make me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time has stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it's starting to moving again. I'm finally back to being me. And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. You know there's a gun pointed at you, by the way. End. What? End? End of her story. And? What? That's the end of Maria's story? What's gonna happen here, though? Well, we'll see. Kano stared in shock. Detective Toteno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Toteno responded by removing the young woman's blindfold. There was no doubt about it. She looked very much like Hitomi Osawa. A surge of frustration rushed through Kano. Detective Toteno, what is the meaning of this? Kano fought to remain calm. He felt like he was on the verge of falling to pieces. Bring me Hitomi Osawa to let this girl go. Why? Why do you need Hitomi for? But Toteno's only answer was an icy stare. This isn't like you. It's so weird. The Detective Toteno who I know... Who you know? Toteno cut him off. What do you know about me? I know what sort of detective you are, sir, because I've modeled myself after you for my whole career. The older man's expression remained stony. Don't you remember, Kano went on, that time when you risked your life to talk down that man who barricaded himself inside the office? Ever since then, you've been my... Toteno interrupted him with a sudden burst of laughter. You really are gullible, you know that? You can only see things the way you want to see them. What do you mean by that? The truth is, I didn't even care if I died doing what I did. That's why I doused myself in gasoline. Toteno's voice had gone low and quiet. That was no display of heroics. It was more attempted suicide than anything else. I wasn't thinking about the other people still inside the building. It's just a coincidence that things turned out the way they did. Uh-oh. So then if you made a single misstep, then everyone in that building might well have burned to death. You're lying! That can't be true! Kano shook his head insistently. I don't have time for this conversation. Toteno pressed the barrel of his gun to Maria's head. If you don't bring Hitomi Osawa to me, believe me, I'll blow her brains out. Please, stop this, Kano shouted. But there was no hesitation in Toteno's eyes. It looked like he really would shoot Maria if Kano didn't do as he asked. Hurry up, bring Hitomi to me. Can't you at least tell me what's going on? Go now, or so help me, I'll shoot. Kano drew his own gun from his jacket. I know you, Detective Toteno. I know there's some meaning behind all of this. Kano's words came out as an imploring croak. You think you can shoot me? Toteno spat. Letting Al-Karaman go free, taking Maria hostage. This has to mean something. Sweat made Kano's hands slick when he clutched his gun. I asked if you think you can shoot me. I've always looked up to you. You were the sort of detective I wanted to become. Kano's view of Toteno began to blur as tears welled in his eyes. Can you shoot me, Kano? I can. Even as he cried, Kano stood resolutely, doing his best to stare down the older man. He set his finger squarely on the trigger and pointed his gun at Toteno's forehead. Suddenly, the piercing stare vanished from the other detective's eyes. I've got to give you full marks for that, Kano. Toteno smiled thinly. I'll tell you then. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Let's go, Kano! Let's go! Excuse me. Let's go! To be continued? Maybe? I don't know. It all happened 17 years ago. A meth addict had assaulted someone in Shibuya. Toteno was questioning people around Dogenzaka in search of the perp. He happened to pass by Endo Electronics. Oh hey, Toteno! Sorry, oh, so that's not a male voice. Oh hey, Toteno! It was Katone Endo, clad in pristine white. Katone is Achi's mother! Katone is Achi's mother! Clutched to her breast was her daughter, Suzune, only a few months old. It's been a long time, Katone said. She had flashed a tiny smile. Yes, it has, Toteno replied with a clumsy smile of his own. Are you on the job? Yes, I am. Katone recoiled slightly at the dour look on Toteno's face. Is something the matter? There's an armed criminal hiding out somewhere in the area. What? I wouldn't leave the shop for a while if you could avoid it. But I have to go to the bank to deposit some money. Surely you could have Daisuke go do it. He's on a repair job and hasn't come back yet. Toteno let out a one-note sigh. I'll see Daisuke still does things his own way. Alright, let me escort you to the bank. You mean it? I'd feel a lot safer having you with me. Katone flashed him a smile so wide that Toteno thought he might lose himself in it. Toteno, Katone, and Daisuke were childhood friends and had gone to school together up through high school. Toteno and Daisuke were always clowning around together, and Katone was always there alongside them, laughing. I know Katone-kun also has pieced together what's going on, and I know Queen Cheese probably has as well. Oh, this is crazy. Everything's coming together. It had been quite some time since he'd gotten to walk along Dogenzaka with Katone. How have you been lately? Well, with the newborn to look after, it's been pretty hectic, but there's never a dull moment. Things have been good. I'm glad to hear it. Katone was always as bright as a sunflower. Sometimes Toteno managed to convince himself that just the sight of her was enough. Outside the bank, Kotone held Suzune out to him. Tateno received the baby with an anxious frown. What's with the face? I'm not good with babies. I haven't held one very often. Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry. Just hold on to her for a minute while I take care of things inside. Alright. He held the baby gingerly, like it was a bomb that might explode at any moment. Kotone chuckled softly. Suzune stirred and squirmed into Tateno's arms. She kind of has Katone's eyes, he thought. It was strange, the sensation of holding a child. She was so soft and light, and yet such a real and responsive presence. The faint warmth of her body warmed Tateno inwardly in turn. If you guys don't know what's going on, I'll explain it after we get this ending. When Kotone returned after making her deposit, they strolled to a nearby park, Suzune back in her mother's arms. Do you have any plans for marriage, Tateno? I haven't thought about it. Work has me pretty busy. Oh, that's just an excuse, Kotone said. If there really were some woman you wanted to marry, you wouldn't let work stop you. Then I suppose it's because there hasn't been anyone I've felt that way about. Really? Nobody this whole time? Yeah, really. I see. But still, seeing the two of you like this, it makes me realize how nice having a family could be. Tateno peered deeply into Suzune's face. Well, if it ain't Tateno. He looked up at his cheery voice cut into conversation. It was Daisuke. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Sorry. What's a good voice for Daisuke? I haven't done one. What are you doing here? He asked his wife. I could ask you the same question. Come on, give me a break. I've come to make the deposit for the client. In that case, no need to worry. I just took care of it myself. I thought you'd forgotten about it. Huh? Really? Kotone smiled as Daisuke reached down and carefully lifted Suzune in his arms. Beaming happily at his daughter, he nuzzled up against her tiny cheek. Daisuke, long time no see. Yeah, glad you're doing well for yourself, Tateno. They walked side by side, Daisuke proudly showed off Suzune's drowsing face. What do you think? Adorable, isn't she? Yeah, luckily she doesn't have your looks. Hey now, bad-mouthing me the same as ever, huh? Some things hadn't changed since high school. Why not drop by our place for a bit? Daisuke offered. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a job, actually. Tateno turned to glance at Kotone. An instant later, Daisuke screamed, Kotone! A man had come up behind his wife and now held a kitchen knife to her throat. Kotone stood stiffly, frozen in terror. Let her go! Tateno took a step toward the man. The slightly upturned eyes, the close-cropped hair, the thin mustache, all the details matched the description. This had to be the man Tateno was after. Shut your damn mouth! You want to try and kill me, huh? This lady here wants to try and kill me! The man was babbling nonsense. The reports had said the suspect was a tweaker. Right now, his mind was probably a complete mess with meth withdrawal. Left unchecked, there was no telling what he might do. Tateno shoved Daisuke behind him and drew his gun from his jacket. Wait! Don't shoot! You'll hit Kotone! But Tateno ignored Daisuke's shouts and trained his gun on the perp's shoulder. He was confident in his marksmanship. He'd never miss at this range. Tateno, please, back down! Daisuke pleaded, Suzune still clutched in his arms. I beg you! I can't, Tateno hissed under his breath. This isn't someone we can reason with. The assailant began waving his knife around. He could stab it into Kotone at any moment. Tateno had to take the shot now. He aimed for the shoulder of the arm and the man held his knife in. Tateno, stop! Daisuke shouted. Don't do this! For a brief moment, Tateno's eyes met Kotone's. He thought he saw her give a tiny nod. Don't shoot! It was all over in an instant. By the time Tateno had the perp subdued, Kotone's white shirt was soaked through with red. Yes, Sparky, he feels so much guilt. With Kotone's death, so too died Tateno's heart. Whatever feelings had lived inside him had been reduced to cinders, leaving only a never-ending need to atone. Countless times he thought of ending his life in order to make things up to Daisuke and his children. The only reason he didn't go through with it was that he knew death would be the easy way out. And so he stayed on as a detective. He would carry the weight of his sins with him for as long as he lived. This was the sentence Tateno gave himself. Well, it's Daisuke, not Ecchi. 15 years had passed since Katone's death. For the first time, Tateno had gone to visit her grave. She was standing by the grave marker with his hands clasped when someone called out to him from behind. Excuse me. Excuse me. A slender young girl stood there, flowers in hand. Tateno instantly recognized her, Suzune. She looked just like Katone had back in her high school days. Did you know my mother? She asked. Yes, we were classmates a long time ago. Oh, really? Thank you so much for coming. Suzune gave a slight bow, then gazed up at Tateno with her big bright eyes. You look just like her. Tateno struggled to hold back the tears. He felt as if Katone stood before him, returned to life. My father tells me the same thing all the time. I can't do female voices, I'm sorry. I'm sure once you're all grown up, you'll be just as beautiful as she was. A forlorn smile came to Suzune's face. Once I'm grown up? Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I guess I really do have a lot in common with my mother, including the part where I'm going to die young. Don't be ridiculous, Tateno exclaimed. Why would you say such a horrible thing? Suzune took a step backward, looking shocked to be rebunked by a stranger. My apologies, he said hurriedly. I didn't mean to startle you. No, it's all right, Suzune murmured, clutching the flowers close. Honestly, it's not something like I like to talk about myself, but I'm sick, so there's not really anything I could do to change it. Sick? I have a heart condition, a generic expression for illness pertaining to the heart, also referred to as heart disease, including things like heart failure, valvular heart disease, and so forth. A transplant is the only thing that can help me, but my blood type is a little bit weird, and it doesn't look like they'll be able to find me a compatible donor. The immune system exists to get rid of foreign substances in the body. Often a patient's immune system will attack a transplanted organ, which can result in the organ failing or functioning poorly. To mitigate the risk of rejection, it is preferably for the donor and the recipient to have matching body tissue. In the case of a heart transplant, characteristics such as blood type and presensitized antibodies, human leukotic cell antigens, must be screened ahead of time. Then bowing her head, Suzune stepped in front of the gravestone and clasped her hands in silence. Tateno felt a wrenching pain inside him, as if Katone were being taken from him all over again. If there really was a god, why would he do such dreadful things? Is there nothing I can do? He nearly lamented out loud. I'll do anything, Suzune. I'll do whatever I have to in order to save you. Tateno clenched his fists as he stared at the grave. Tell me, Katone, what can I possibly do for your daughter? Please tell me. Please. Yeah, I'll explain things like I said, so it brings everyone up to speed. And so the months rolled on. Everything changed just after 10 o'clock that morning. Tateno was on the stakeout when his cell phone rang. He glanced at the call display and saw Daisuke Endo's name. He hadn't heard from Daisuke in years now. Fearing that something had happened to Suzune, Tateno answered the call despite his current tense circumstances. At once he heard Daisuke's wailing. Suzune had a seizure. She might not come back from this one. Tateno's terrible suspicions had been right on the mark. He felt himself growing weak. Please, Daisuke exclaimed. You need to shoot that girl you're with, that Hitomi Osawa. You need to shoot her in the head. If we have her heart, we can save Suzune. At first, Tateno couldn't make sense of what Daisuke was saying. Hurry up and shoot her, please. Hitomi Osawa has the Bombay blood type. Wait, hold on, Tateno said, keeping his voice low. You want me to kill Hitomi Osawa? Why? He quickly scanned the area. Daisuke, are you nearby? Wait, where are you? Don't worry about that. If you could just render her brain dead, we'll be able to transplant her heart into Suzune. The term brain dead refers to a state where the entire brain, including the brainstem, is beyond any recovery. In Japan, brain death is defined by Article 6 of the Act of Organ Transplantation, which states that brain death can only be declared with the goal of authorizing a transplant and is subject to the judgment of at least 2 doctors inspecting the patient according to a preset process at least 6 hours apart. Shooting someone in the head didn't necessarily guarantee they'd wind up brain dead, and even assuming if they did, if Tateno shot the Osawa girl here in the middle of the scramble, it would cause a giant incident. By the time the autopsy was completed, the window for the heart transplant was surely have passed. Tateno, shoot her, please! Daisuke, I can't. You know I can't do that. Hurry! It was like his old friend wasn't even listening to him. Look, even if she did wind up brain dead, that wouldn't be able to perform a transplant. But Daisuke kept on shouting. It's fine! It'll be fine! I'll make the transplant work somehow! You'll make it work? Even knowing how ridiculous that was, part of Tateno wanted to know what he had in mind, if anything. I finally found it. I found something we can do for Suzune. Please help me help her. Teteno understood Daisuke's feelings painfully well. To be helpless to stop the suffering of someone he loved, nothing in the world would hurt as much as that. I want to save Suzune. Teteno, this is the only thing I will ever ask of you. Teteno could hear choked weeping from the other end of the line, and at that sound, something inside him shifted. Yes, Daisuke was right. Maybe. The likelihood of a transplant happening wasn't the issue. What mattered was that right now he could take action. He could do something for Suzune. He mustered up his resolve, feeling the doubt lift from his heart. For Suzune. For the daughter of the woman he'd loved. Teteno checked the gun, tucked inside his jacket. Then slowly began making his way through the crowd toward Hitomi. Then, Achi. Now you know why we're here, Teteno gestured suddenly with his gun, its barrel still pressed against Maria's temple. Kano's own gun wavered in his hands. He was crying inside. There was nothing else he wanted to hear from Teteno now, and now he was sure of one thing. Words were never going to stop this man. Kano, Teteno said, at my age I've seen all sorts of young detectives come and go. He fixed his lonesome gaze on Kano. And you're about the worst of the lot. Whenever it's time to take action, you immediately do something reckless. Do you know how many formal apologies I've had to write because of you? Teteno let out a heavy sigh. But you know, Kano, because of the way you've looked up to me, you've saved me. And that's the truth. He sounded like a man speaking his last words. Now come on, see if you can stop me. He pressed the gun harder against Maria's temple. Kano took aim at his former hero's head. Detective Teteno! His finger wavered at the trigger. Shoot him. You have to shoot him. If you don't shoot him, Maria's going to die. He tried desperately to convince himself. I'm going to stop you. Teteno looked him coldly in the eye. Do it then! Shoot me! Kano stared right back. He tightened his finger on the trigger. Rah! He took the shot. Alright, let's see what's happening. It's time for everyone's favorite. See what's going on. See what happens, guys. 4. No more Maria. Running out of time. 4 people. I don't have access to Maria anymore. Static, how's it going? Alright, so before we end up going through all the bad endings that we missed, let me explain what's going on. Where we last saw her, true. So, essentially, the story as I understand it right now is that Kano... Essentially, Teteno and Daisuke are working together to kill Hitomi to save Suzune, but Achi, who is Daisuke's son, is trying to save Hitomi because he now has to choose between either his sister or Hitomi. Maria's sister's with Hitomi, but she has to decide whether to, like, she was taken instead of Hitomi to try to save her life, if being infected with the UA virus as a result. Osawa is the parents of both of them, and there's so much going on. I would have to take an entire time to say it. I don't even know what to say. Save Maria. Lies. There's so much going on. Alright, so let's choose all of our options. Sorry, my brain is broke. There's a lot going on. So there's no more choices for Kano. Let's take on the debt. Alright, I'll take on the debt. Minorikawa's tone was resolute. But not just yet. Let me finish up this job here first. Very well, I suppose we can wait at least a little while, Yoke. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening. The two men from Terracotta Financing plunked themselves down on the editing department sofa. Mr. Mino, please, you can't agree to something like this. If I don't, these guys are just going to keep threatening poor little Hana. But still, that's none of your concern, he said. What I need to know is, how's your piece on those street interviews coming? We should be close. But, I mean, those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Jackie took his point and scampered to grab the printout of her copy. There we go. Now we're caught up. Wait, there's no more... Oh, yeah. No, I remember what that is. Because we keep saying that over and over. I'll consider it. Can you give me some time? Jackie would pale at Minorikawa's response. No, how can you even think about taking their offer, she cried. Sasagawa stepped in, drowning her out. No way, we've waited long enough. Give us your answer now, yes or no. What's it gonna be? Now, let's just calm down, Ozu chided in. He said that he'd consider it. That's a step in the right direction. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Minorikawa? Yeah, sure. Then I suppose we can wait at least a little while longer. Minorikawa had hoped to put them off for several days at least, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. How's it going, though, Cheese Lord? The two men from Terracotta Financing put them down, and we should be caught up. Nope, really? God damn it. Mr. Mino, you're not actually going to take on the debt, are you? Jackie asked quietly. Minorikawa sat at his desk, looking over the copy he'd written. That's none of your concern, he said. What I need to know is how's your piece in the street interviews coming. But, I mean, those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Jackie took his point and scampered to grab the printout of her copy. Alright, we're caught up. I will choose, though, because, just for completionist's sake... Can't we just call it even? Can't we just call it even? And then if we want to get punched in the face, nothing, never mind. Nothing, never mind. Now then, how about we stick around until we feel so inclined? The two men from Terracotta Financing. Wow, there's still a lot more going on here. Mr. Mino, you're not actually going to take on the debt, are you? Jackie asked quickly. Minorikawa sat at his desk looking over the cotton he'd written. That's none of your concern. What I need to know is how your piece on street interviews. There's a lot going on. There's so many options. So now I have to just choose the second option and then we should be good. Second option. Want to call it even. Nothing, never mind. Now then, how about we stick around till you feel so inclined? Okay, so I think I know what the one... No, we're missing two. We're missing two endings, and I know which ones they are, I believe. Anyone want to take a guess what two endings I'm missing? Who wants to take the luck of the call of which endings I'm missing? No idea? It's all good. Are they all Minorikawa? Not all of them. One of them is. That's not true, Osawa replied. There's plenty you can help me with. He looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance, I can have a banana whenever I want. You find things that have gone missing. You find things that have gone missing. Ah, like that plane ticket, you mean? Kajiwara gave a bashful smile. Yes, I never had found it if you hadn't been here, detective. Haha, well, like they say, you can never find something when you're looking for it. Then a hint of sadness came to Kajiwara's eyes and his voice grew quieter. My daughter. She had this little toy ring that she loved, and she lost it in our house somewhere. I didn't realize you had a daughter, detective. She just started grade school this year. Oh, really? She must be adorable. Well, I don't get to see her as much as I'd like. A lonely sort of smile crossed Kajiwara's face. Why's that?
Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but, well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues. The detective pulled 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. Osawa accepted one and said nothing. The toy ring she lost. I bought it for her as a birthday present. She loved it so much she cried and cried when it was gone. I looked all over for it. The detective bit into his own chocolate bar with something. So then later, this toy ring, I found it after my wife took our daughter away. And do you know where it was? Osawa shook his head slightly. Under my daughter's mattress. Fell out when the bed was being taken out of her room. Isn't that funny? That it was somewhere I never would have found it if she stayed. Another sad smile came to Kajiwara's face before he went on. I guess there wasn't much point, though. Finding it after that, she was already gone. The man had lost his daughter. Osawa couldn't help but sympathize. Here was someone he could really talk to. Why is this? He was sure of that much now. Very sad. Detective. Detective, I apologize. I've kept things from you because I was worried that they involved classified corporate information. Oh? Kajiwara's eyes gleamed with interest. Earlier today I received some emails. They could be pertinent to the case. Would you mind letting me see them? Osawa shook his head. On the contrary. Alright, now we should be good. Really? Back in the front of his computer, Osawa saw that IONET was still open. Pretty Honey had responded to his forum post. One moment, let me just read this. Osawa read the responses. One moment, just let me read this. Osawa read the responses. I got the same result. Do you really think it's too late? Don't give up hope. Hang in there. It's never too late. Every family has its share of problems. Like you'll never find one that doesn't, I'm sure. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. So don't let it get you down, Julie. Besides, I did learn one thing from reading your post. In the end, a father's happiness is his daughter's happiness. Kajiwara peered into the monitor. A young girl is posting to a forum for people 40 and older. It's Pretty Honey. She's always replies to my threads. The detective furrowed his brow. I see. Is something the matter? No, that last line there just has me curious is all. A young girl writing something like that. Well, that's neither here nor there right now. Let me see those emails if you would. Osawa opened his email. He pulled up the images of the human testing on the monitor. Are we good now? Apparently not. I don't know why we're not done yet. What is this? There we go. Now we're good. Also, now we have to do one more choice here. Does anyone know how I'm going to be activating Minorikawa's ending? There is one thing that we didn't do yet. That fried egg on rice we made was delicious. Kajiwara let out a bright little laugh. Oh, that's so nice of you to say. You flatter me. It's not flattery. Osawa shook his head seriously. Honestly, I've got a hankering for more. I wish I had your cooking skills, detective. But despite the praise, Kajiwara's smile took it on to no sadness. Oh no, anyone could make something like that after living alone, like I have. Osawa was surprised to hear that he lived alone. Detective looked like he was old enough to likely be married by now. Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife filed the divorce paperwork. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but, well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues. So his living alone was a newer thing, after being separated from his wife and daughter. That fried egg on rice. That fried egg on rice. My daughter used to love that. Is that so? I can cook more proper dishes, but for whatever reason, she just really loved that one. The detective then pulled 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. No, possibly, Kitone. Possibly. Osawa accepted one, but said nothing. My daughter was fond of this brand of chocolate, too. Kajiwara snapped off a bit of his own bar and popped it into his mouth. I would warn her that she'd get cavities if she ate too much, but she'd stuff her face to the point that there was practically always chocolate smeared around her mouth. Kajiwara sighed and a forlorn smile came to his face. I guess the fact that I always carry stuff like this around in my pockets just means that I'm a fool who doesn't know how to let go. Osawa shook his head. I don't think that's true at all. He understood full well what it was like having a daughter always in one's thoughts. Osawa too broke off a piece of chocolate and slipped it into his mouth. It was sweet and milky, a taste a child would love. He licked the residual chocolate from his fingertips and turned back to Kajiwara. The 2 men smiled at one another. Here was a man Osawa could really talk to. He was sure of that much now. There we go. Cool. No allies. Look at this photograph. No choices.
True identity. True, Katone. True. Achi said, I don't know who he is, but he's not our friend. The man calmly reached into his jacket pocket. Fearing he might be about to draw his gun, Achi braced for action. My name is Jack Stanley. Yeah. We know who you are, Mr. Stanley. Alright, so you may have noticed that we have chosen every single option, yet for some reason, we don't have all the bad endings. Okay, wait, we're missing one. Minorikawa is depressed. Poor depressed Minorikawa. Stand up right now, you just need to forge ahead. Yeah, that was his only option, really. He couldn't just let things end like this, and he still didn't have what he needed for his article, so Minorikawa took a deep breath, ready to get back on his feet. Now, we've already read this before, but guess what? This actually leads into the endings we're missing. We're missing an ending for Minorikawa and Maria. I believe are the two that we're missing. And in order to activate it, we must choose the second option. Because if you remember from last stream we did, not the one before my internet cut out, but this past stream, you may recall that by choosing this one, how the fuck did we end up on the roof? Oh, wait. That's a bad end. I forgot. Hold on. How the heck did we end up on the roof? I thought we have to choose option B. How the hell do we get on the roof? Because Minorikawa just starts smoking on the roof, and then there was a keep out thing. He keeps finding the taxi. Why is he finding the taxi? Alright, time to bring up the guide. Time to figure out how to do this. You guys know I don't really care when it comes to guides. Alright, so first things first. Oops. Oh, let's go back. We're gonna go to bad ending list. Alright, so. Oh. We're missing a lot of things, actually. We are missing a lot of things. So, first things first. We have to choose option A. Apparently choosing this leads to the things that we need to do. Weirdly enough. Weirdly enough, choosing this option causes things to happen. Alright, so that's... And then we have to go to Achi's path and choose option A, which causes him to get hit by a car. He raced after them. Game members sprint away full speed. This guy are different directions. Okay, and Achi should get hit. At the same time, something happens to Kano. Kano sat down in a chair in the hallway in a bit of a daze. He found himself holding the present Sasagawa had gotten for his wife. I have to do something. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. His restlessness gnawed at him like a rabid animal. Hey, Kano! He looked up to see Kuze standing behind him. I have an update on Sasayama, the director began. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. It seems the wife went deep enough. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real... It's really strange. Apparently the passion part is super important, too. I'm going to skip through this until we see something new. So we'll see what happens. So at this point, Achi has gotten killed from being hit by a... He got hit by a taxi. The Osawa case is over now. Put it out of your mind. I'm assigning you to a new investigation. Kano heard no blame in Kuze's voice. There was a fatal car accident over in Nanpenai. The culprits have turned themselves in, I hear. I'd like you to go take their testimony. To ask about the circumstances and details of a given event or situation, standard police procedure when dealing with individuals involved in a criminal investigation, sometimes including taking written statements to a president of the court. Ordinarily, Kano would have objected to such an arbitrary change in assignment. Punishment or no, he would have begged to stay on the Osawa investigation even if it was officially on hold, but now his heart just wasn't in it. Understood, sir, he said with a nod. Kuze handed him a briefing of the accident. It was a taxi driver and his passenger who surrendered themselves to the police. Kano leafed through the paperwork as he headed for the interrogation room. Being immersed in the hustle and bustle of the criminal affairs division felt like a return to normalcy. The events earlier in the day gradually faded from his mind. And while part of him wanted to hold on to the sense that he'd been in the midst of something unusual, something important, his lingering regrets were soon buried under the clutter of the day-to-day. There we go. Accident questioning. Calling an end to the kidnapping investigation, Kuze reassigned Kano to look into a fatal car accident. But you can't give up here. The Osawa case hasn't been resolved at all. The taxi driver and passenger who turned themselves in is none other than Kimazuka and Minorikawa. If the two of them can avoid causing an accident, Kuze will have a different story to tell. Okay. So with that being said, let's have Achi start choosing the other one. We choose this. Okay, so apparently by choosing passion and then B, it causes Minorikawa to go up to the roof. Which is weird. I don't know why this causes him to go up to the roof, but apparently it does. There we go. Minorikawa headed to the roof near a nearby building and lit himself a cigarette. The tiny trendles of white smoke drifted lazily out to the blue sky. As his eyes tracked the twisting movements of smoke, memories of Toyama and their newspaper days played through his mind. Which we've seen before. So these endings are like really hidden. I'm glad there's a guide, because otherwise I probably would have been stuck like going through literally everything to figure that out. Like, I would have to do all sorts of permutations, and that would have been crazy. Mr. Toyama was in there. It was a suicide. Minorikawa let Chiaki's words drain from his mind. Yeah, we've already seen this before. What? Oh yeah, no, we saw that before. Minorikawa smirked grimly himself. He came in hoping to realize the journalistic passion, but instead the emptiness within him only groaned. Yeah, guess this is gonna take a while. He sparked up a second cigarette. There should be a keep out. Yep. So there's the keep out. Now we have to head to Kano, where we go to Maria. Kano stared in shock. Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Minorikawa's gonna witness a murder. A panic look crossed her face. Ah! She shot out her arm to point. Kano whirled around in surprise. There was a man on the roof of the building across the way who looked like he was getting ready to jump. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I mean, I guess so. Kitsune, true. From the edge of the rooftop, Minorikawa gazed out at the city below, no longer aware of the passage of time. No matter how hard he tried to write about the truth, ultimately he hadn't been able to change anything. So what had it all been for? The last ghost of his desire to keep up the struggle left him as he considered how meaningless it had all been. Don't do anything rash! The intruder abruptly shattered his brooding silence. A man in a suit had appeared behind him. Now he rushed closer, calling out with concern. Let's not be hasty. Nobody's going to be happy if you jump. If he jumped. Minorikawa stepped to the very edge and cast his gaze straight down. That might not be a bad idea. Hell, maybe some part of him actually wanted to. Suddenly it felt like the natural course of action. From up here, the city looked like a miniature diorama of cars and people. It didn't quite seem real. Stop! Don't do it! Minorikawa took a step forward despite the stranger's words, feeling a splendid sense of liberation as he did so. He allowed his body to go limp, consigning himself to the fall. But just as he began to topple, he was abruptly yanked back. Don't go wasting your life like this, the stranger barked. The look on his face was outrageously solemn, and then for some reason he slapped a handcuff onto Minorikawa's right wrist. What? Before Minorikawa could react, the man locked the second cuff in the pair around the nearby fence. I promise I'll come back. Please just stay alive for a few minutes longer, okay? And with that, the guy darted away. What the hell? Minorikawa muttered. He found himself alone again, unable to go anywhere even if he wanted to. Feeling emptier than ever, he reassumed his aimless vigil, staring out across Shibuya. And in the end, the man never did come back. Not even after the sun had set, and night had fallen, and the next bleak morning came. Uh-oh, Minorikawa just got left there. Uh-oh. Abandoned. Some guy, it was Kano of course, showed up out of nowhere, handcuffed Minorikawa, then left him to languish on the roof. And it looked to Kano like Minorikawa was contemplating suicide, an understandable mistake under the circumstances. Maybe now isn't the best time to reminisce about the past. Probably. Meanwhile, in Kano's story... It's pretty full for... Yeah, exactly. There was a man on the roof of the building. It looked like he was getting ready to jump. Why now? Kano thought to himself, but he couldn't just stand idly by while someone committed suicide. He felt a pang of disgust when he saw Teteno take in the situation with an indifferent glance, but make no move to help. Detective Teteno, I'll be right back, Kano exclaimed. We can finish this after. Without waiting for an answer, he raced for the other building. True. When he got to the second rooftop, the man was still there, staring down at the ground below. Don't do anything rash, Kano warned him, hurrying toward him. When the man gave no response, though Kano quickly halted, the stranger was still several meters away. Kano braced himself, ready to lunge for the man if necessary. Let's not be hasty. Nobody's going to be happy if you jump. Still, the man said nothing, simply gazing out at the sky. Surely he could hear Kano now. The detective continued, keeping his voice low and conversational. I've got a coworker. He's one of the most absurdly devoted husbands you can meet. All he does is brag about his wife. The man continued to ignore him. He was stabbed in the belly earlier today. He's in the hospital right now on death's door. He was happy, but now his life might be snatched away from him anyway. Still, the man appeared unmoved. It was as if his words weren't even reaching him. Don't you think it's a waste to just go and throw your own life away? Kano waited for the man to respond. The stranger took a purposeful stride away from the fence toward the roof's edge. Stop! Don't do it! The man unflinchingly stepped out toward the empty air. No! Kano sprang forward, somehow managing to grab hold of the stranger's wrist. He yanked the man back from the edge, getting only a blank stare in response. Don't go wasting your life like this! Ordinarily, Kano would have stayed and talked until he was sure this guy's death wish had passed, but there wasn't the time for that right now. Rhea was in just as much danger at that very moment. Whipping out his handcuffs, he shackled the man to the fence. What? I promise I'll come back. Please, just stay alive for a few minutes longer, okay? Kano left the man staring in bewilderment and raced back to the South Hill building. Meanwhile, Kano's about to get shot. Probably. When he got back to the roof, no one was there. Kano immediately tried to call Teteno on his cell, but the call didn't go through. Teteno must have powered off his phone. Damn it! Where did you go, detective? He needed to hear what Teteno had to say. He still had no idea what was really going on, or what the grim truth might be, and it seemed he had just lost his chance to find out. In desperation, Kano rushed from the building. But in his frantic search of the area, he saw no sign of either Teteno or Maria. Later, a precinct-wide manhunt failed to discover where the two had gone. From that day forward, Kano was empty inside, carrying out his duties as a detective with bleak detachment. Well, dang! That surely just happened. Bad end. Lost sight of Maria and Teteno. When Kano caught sight of a man about to commit suicide, it was Minorikawa, he couldn't ignore the situation and impulsively rushed to the rescue, but lost track of Teteno and Maria as a result. If Minorikawa hadn't turned up on the rooftop, Kano would have been able to focus on his primary mission. And at the same time, I'm pretty sure that Maria's probably going to remember stuff. Detective Teteno, where are you? The man's voice suddenly snaps him back in the moment. It's Kano, I've come as you asked. Comes to my arm and yanks me up. Where's Hitomi Osawa, he snarls. Why didn't you bring her? Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? My captor removes my blindfold. Yep, exactly, Kitone. The first thing I see is the sky overhead. It's so bright that I have to lower my eyes, and then I spot someone in the distance. It's a man. There's a man standing on the edge of the roof on the building across the way. Ah! Momentarily forgetting my own situation, I cry out. Huh? The young man in front of me turns in surprise to see where I'm pointing. The man across the way is staring into the streets below, looking like he might jump at any moment. Detective Tateno, will be right back. We can finish this after. The young man takes off, disappearing down the stairwell. My heart pounds nervously in my chest as I gaze across at the other building. Then my captor, Tateno as the other guy called him, grabs my arm. Let's go. Huh? Are we heading over there too? No, we're going somewhere else. I don't know where yet. Tateno's got his gun trained on me again. Looks like I don't have any choice but to go with him. He nudges me on and we head for the stairs. I take a quick look back at the sky above the city. This may be the last time I ever see the sky. For some reason, that thought resounds inside my head. Well, dang. Bad end. Taken by the man with the cane. As soon as her blindfold was taken off, Maria spotted Minorikawa atop the building across the way. Kano rushed over to stop what he thought was a potential suicide, and Tateno used the opportunity to abscond with his captive. Definitely a case of Minorikawa being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Very, very true. Is that all of them? That is not. We are still missing stuff. Wow, apparently we did really good and missed a lot of potential bad ends. Eternal disputes. Hold on. Are we missing an Achi one? Oi, get back here! Threatening shot bringing up from behind. Oh, let me just make sure that we are doing the right stuff here. We are missing an Achi one. Oi, get back here! A threatening shout rang out from nearby. When she looked around, startled, and saw a boy about high school age bolting out from behind a building just down a side street. Several slightly older young men were hot on his heels. Achi knew their faces all too well. They were all members of SOS. They caught it to their quarry just before he could make it onto the main road. Hey, gotcha, newbie. So the kid they were after must have been a member too. Let me go! Oh, we'll let you go all right, after you pay up. One of the young men snatched the boy by the collar and shoved him against the wall of a nearby building. Ow! The boy's face scrunched up. What are you talking about? Playing dumb, huh? Interjected one of the onlookers. We told you that members will have to pay monthly dues, yeah? The privilege of getting to call yourself SOS don't come free after all. Achi felt his blood boil. SOS was trying to pull a shakedown on this new kid under the guise of calling it dues. It would have been unthinkable for them to do something like this back when Achi was running the show. Hey, he barked. Let the kid go! He marched toward the group. Say what now? They turned to look, their faces immediately going pale. Oh, hey Achi. Let him go. Achi focused his glare on the fellow holding the kid until he released his grip. You guys always go around doing stuff like this? None of the gang members answered. They merely turned their gazes glumly to the ground. Hey, Achi turned to the younger boy. Since when have they been doing this? But of course he realized there was no way the newbie would be able to tell him. Never mind, you can go, Achi gestured toward the main road. The boy was quick to run off. Achi waited until the boy was gone before turning back to the others. Does Susumu know you're going around collecting dues like this, he asked. Man, we don't gotta tell you that, one of them muttered. Not since you deserted. What'd you just say? Achi leaned in close, getting right in the guy's face. He was met with a defiant sneer. This ain't the old SOS anymore. Not the old SOS. Achi thought back to the other gang member he'd run into earlier, with the malicious gleam in his eyes. That guy. Pretty sure he said his name was Kiryu? Back when Achi had been with SOS, he had never let a guy like that get away with acting all high and mighty. Suddenly Achi heard a voice from behind him. Well, well, if it ain't our legendary founder. Uh-oh. An instant later, he took a hard blow to the side of the head. I was just out looking for some small fry, but looks like I landed me a big one. Uh-oh. Achi's head swam, his vision fading in and out. Before he had a chance to recover, something smashed into his knee. Holy shit. He lay crumpled on the ground, unable to retaliate as kicks and punches rained down on him. Even after Achi could no longer move, the beating didn't stop. His ruptured eardrums could barely make out the sound of Hitomi screaming. Well, damn! Hitomi, run. With his final plea silence before it reached his lips, Hachi felt his consciousness battered away. Dang. Apparently, Minorikawa going to the roof is the worst idea ever. Kiryu's ambush. Kiryu turned up out of nowhere and gave Hachi a beatdown with a piece of timber, but just before he attacked Hachi, Kiryu had run into someone else. That person said something that changed what Kiryu did. The individual in question needs to say something different to ensure Kiryu doesn't go to Tokenzaka, where Hachi and Hitomi are there. True. That's it. Bad time. 1600 block. Got it. Alright, so Minorikawa needs to decide to not do things that end in people dying. Such as this option. This option should be the only option need to change. Yep, that's it. That should be all of them. So many endings. Minorikawa has the most endings by far. Osawa has the least, which makes sense. And such. Cool. Back to the time chart. That's it. We are done with the 1600 block, and we have the 1700 block, which should not be super long. So that might only take one stream, which should be tomorrow. And there is only one option. There is only one bad ending in the 1700 to 1800 hour. There is only one bad ending. And according to this, it's super obvious. Do you always try to 100% games? Yep, I do, so listen. I try to 100% every single game I play. Some I have to kind of wait on because I need to be in a better mood to play them. But, yep. This game is definitely one of those, though. This game, though, is ridiculous. So much stuff, and now we're down to 4 characters to play as. And we finally got one of the endings. We got Maria's end. 63 bad endings have been found. 63. Welcome back, Sparky. So, next time, so tomorrow, probably around the same time, we will complete the entirety of the 1700 block and possibly finish the game if that's the last one. It should be. Should be. But you never know. It says there's 8 hours. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to be back with Katawa Shoujo in about an hour and a half. I'm going to go eat supper, even though it's lunchtime, but I'm going to just eat supper instead. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed 428 Shibuya Scramble, and have a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, night, or evening. My name's Katafi, and I'll see you guys next time for more Variety Gaming. See you guys later. Peace. Bye, everybody.